Quebec's Gaspe Peninsula, a remote northern gem in the crown of eastern Canada's coastlines. From the industrial northern limits of the St. Lawrence Seaway to the islands and cliffs of the scenic southern shore. The coastlines here have it all. An incredible wartime legacy, one of North America's only combat zones of World War II.
So we were the first place in Canada, in North America really, to have casualties of the war.
Incredibly preserved Irish traditions in the remote villages of the Gaspe Sea.
When I moved here, I didn't know about all this Irish history. And what is so amazing to understand is that those people that still live here, their roots are from the first immigrant that arrived here in Gaspe.
And towering above the Gulf of St. Lawrence, the tallest lighthouse in Canada.
It's a very important symbol to the Gaspe people and especially to Cap de Rosée. The people in Cap de Rosée are very proud of their lighthouse.
Now, we explore this rugged coastline like never before. A bird's eye view. Unlocking the secrets of our maritime past, present, and future. This is Canada, over the edge. High above the southern shore of the St. Lawrence River, historic farmland stretches as far as the eye can see. Centuries ago, these rich soils attracted the first European settlers to the New World. Today, that tradition continues along one of the world's most formidable coastlines. On the horizon, the town of Rimouski. Founded in 1696, it has been a maritime hub for centuries. From its rich fishing heritage to its role as a leader in ocean research and technology. Built on the far eastern edge of central Canada, the town is home to more than 40,000 people. And one of Canada's best-known maritime landmarks. The Pointe-au-Père Lighthouse. At more than 100 feet, it is the second tallest lighthouse in eastern Canada. And it marks the spot of Canada's worst maritime disaster. The sinking of the Empress of Ireland, May 29, 1914. a disaster that claimed more than 1,000 lives. At the village of Baie de Sable, our course changes, moving inland. For a first glimpse at Quebec's incredible green energy infrastructure along this coast. This is the Baie de Sable wind farm. 73 turbines standing more than 100 meters high, set on 5,200 hectares of coastal land. These turbines generate enough electricity to power 21,000 homes in the province. Back on the coast and continuing northeast, some of the St. Lawrence's top scenic and industrial towns. Next, the village of Matane. From the Mi'kmaq term for beaver pond, this is where the Matane River meets the St. Lawrence. Known for its salmon and shrimp industry, Europeans have been fishing here since the 1500s. And Matane is the hub of the region's wind farm industry, housing the parts and accessories that keep these massive operations running. Next, the town of Les Machins and its famous shipyard. Built by a French sea captain more than 50 years ago, this yard and its 130-meter dry dock have seen generations of ships built here. At the mouth of the St. Lawrence River, halfway between Montreal and Halifax. From the St. Lawrence waterway to the Gaspe Peninsula, our trajectory continues northeast, along the rolling hills of the interior, leading to the magic cliff faces of the Gaspésie. From the rocky shoreline of Rimouski to the hills and mountains of Les Machins and beyond, the landscape slowly rises as we continue northeast along the remote Gaspe Peninsula. In the distance is Cap Chat. While nearly 3,000 people make this their home, it is the surrounding hillsides that make it famous. This is the next step in Quebec's wind energy infrastructure along the Gaspe coast. Here, more than 100 turbines stand tall, harvesting the gusts and breezes along the Cap Chat coast. And they are joined by a different creature altogether. It is called Aeol, named for the Greek god of wind. And at 110 meters, it is the tallest vertical axis turbine in the world. At top output, this turbine alone can produce 4 megawatts of energy, enough to power more than 800 homes. Veering east and heading inland, miles of rolling hills and mountains await. This is Gaspésie National Park. More than 800 square kilometers of protected wilderness in the heart of the Gaspe Peninsula. Established in 1937, the park was created to keep the mining and forestry industries from harvesting the rich wilderness here. Open year-round, the park's 140 kilometers of trails attract explorers from around the world. It is a unique geography, as the Chic-Choc Mountains, part of the Appalachian mountain chain from the south, merge with the McGarrigle Mountains. But these incredible plateaus were once even higher, towering mountains eaten away during the last ice age. Still, these peaks rise high, creating unique ecosystems, ranging from boreal forest to Arctic alpine plant life and tundra landscapes. Back to the coastline and the winding roads along the mountainous Gaspe perimeter. For motorcyclists and explorers, a journey to the Gaspésie is a pilgrimage. Known as the Navigator's Route, Highway 132 circles the peninsula. It is Quebec's longest highway, stretching from New York State to the province of New Brunswick. It is an incredible journey, offering travelers a unique experience in French North America, with majestic sunsets, solitude, and scenery. Now, continuing along the coast, we begin a return to civilization. In the distance, incredible Mont Saint-Pierre, one of the tallest cliff faces in the region. Further, a tiny town with an incredible legacy. Baie de Saint-Yvon is home to just a few hundred people. But its story dates back more than 6 decades, when it became one of the only North American battlefields of World War II. Between 1942 and September 1943, dozens of ships were attacked by German U-boats patrolling these Canadian waters. One German torpedo landed here in Saint-Yvon. It is a time that residents like Fabien Sinnott will never forget.
I remember most of all those that were sunk at Cape de Rosy in September 1942. They sank the 2 boats within 2 minutes. So one was a British merchant ship, the other one was a Dutch merchant ship. And all the survivors, of course, it was cold in the middle of September, the water is cold. So anyway, they managed, the fishermen brought a lot of them ashore. And they laid them in the field there for a while, and then the trucks from Gaspe came along and picked them up. People always say that the first casualties was in Dieppe, the raid of Dieppe in August 1942. But those U-boats sank those ships in May 1942, so we were the first place in Canada, in North America really, to have casualties of the war.
From the town of Gaspe, Sinnott watched, unbelievably, as survivors were brought to shore in the first wave of attacks.
Those 2 ships that were sunk in Cape de Rosy, the survivors arrived in Gaspe inside of the trucks. And I was witness to that. I was about 10 years old at the time. I was coming back from school and I saw those army trucks and all that. I said something must be going on.
But for Sinnott, he believes the attacks could have been much worse.
There was an atmosphere of war all the time in the village. People were afraid. 2 or 3 submarines that would get into the Bay of Gaspe, they could have invaded Gaspe.
Continuing northeast, the cliffs of Gaspe continue to rise, on approach to the tip of the peninsula and some of the most incredible sea life on the planet. From Gaspe National Park to the rising cliff faces along the St. Lawrence River, the Gaspe Peninsula is an ever-changing landscape. All along this coastline, open rock faces reveal multiple geological layers. Like pages in a book, they chronicle the history of this incredible corner of the Earth. Much of the Gaspe is molded from rock of the Devonian period, more than 400 million years old. Part of the Appalachian mountain chain, Gaspe sits in the middle of a partially invisible ridge of mountains, stretching 2 continents, from Alabama in the south to Gaspe, revealed again on the island of Newfoundland, and finally, far away in the highlands of Scotland and Norway. Now, continuing northeast and just offshore, sits another chapter in Quebec's wind energy efforts. The wind farm at Anse-à-Vallon is a $164 million project. 67 state-of-the-art turbines assembled in nearby Matane. The blades are 77 meters in diameter, moving at 10 to 20 revolutions per minute, producing more than 100 megawatts of electricity. Beyond, scattered towns and villages lead to Forillon National Park and the tip of the peninsula. But even now, nearly 250 kilometers from our starting point, miles remain, a reminder of the sheer size of this landmass. With more than 30,000 square kilometers, the Gaspe Peninsula is the size of Belgium, with just 100,000 people spread thinly along the coasts. Now, one of the region's great landmarks. The Cap de Rosier Lighthouse is the tallest lighthouse in Canada. Daniel Sinnott heads the team that preserves this National Historic Site.
We are in Cape de Rosier on the east coast of Canada. We're on the north side of the Gaspe coast, 45 kilometers from Gaspe. We are at the entrance of the Parc Forillon. The lighthouse here in Cape de Rosier was built in 1857 for the simple reason of all the shipwrecks that we had along the coast. The lighthouse is 112 feet tall. It has a basement of 8 feet where they used to store, at the beginning, the fish oil to light the light. The base of the lighthouse is, the walls are 7 feet 3 inches thick, and the top of the lighthouse, the walls are 3 feet 3 inches thick. The lighthouse is made of graphite stone, It was once finished, the exterior finished out of wood to be red brick, and in 1984 they redid the lighthouse with white marble coming from Massachusetts.
This stretch of coast holds a unique shipwreck tradition, one that connects to the very origins of Cap de Rosier itself.
The last shipwreck we had here was in 1847, the Carricks. And the Carrick was an Irish ship, and a lot of families here in the village of Cape de Rosier, like the Kavanaghs, come from the Carricks.
In the decades since, the lighthouse has become a symbol for those on land, as much as for those at sea.
The lighthouse, it's a very important symbol of the village. It's a historic site, and last year we had 7,500 people visiting this site. It's important to the village. We have 7 employees working here in the summertime. And for the Gaspe, we see the lighthouse everywhere. We see it in newspapers. Whenever they want to publicize something, we always see the lighthouse. It's a very important symbol to the Gaspe people, and especially to Cap de Rosier.
Finally, Forillon National Park appears on the horizon. Covering nearly 250 square kilometers, it was Quebec's first national park, protecting 10 different rock formations, along with seabirds and Arctic alpine plant life here. In the distance, a tour boat heads offshore, investigating a series of rippling waves they hope could be much more. And they are in luck. Just below the surface, it is the rare sighting of Earth's largest animal, the blue whale. These incredible creatures can measure 100 feet long and weigh as much as 200 tons. With a lung capacity of 5,000 liters, blue whales can spend half an hour underwater, and their blowholes can project a plume 30 feet into the air. It is an animal that continues to confound scientists, with an incredible lifespan of 100 years. And the ability to communicate underwater with other whales more than 1,500 kilometers away. At Cap Gaspe, this journey northwest now heads south towards the warm waters of the Baie de Chaleur. And the incredible geological formation known as the Percé Rock. From the industrial St. Lawrence coastline to the wonders of Forillon National Park, this aerial exploration has covered more than 250 kilometers of incredible Gaspe coast. Now, the end of the journey northwest. The word Gaspe comes from the Mi'kmaq language, meaning land's end. Here at Cap Gaspe, a 6-kilometer-long headland extends out to sea. Land's End here is marked by the iconic Cap Gaspe Lighthouse. A station has stood here since 1873, with the current 42-foot octagonal tower built in the 1950s. And this headland provides protection for the town of Gaspe, situated inland. Home to 14,000 people, this is where French explorer Jacques Cartier took possession of the New World in the name of France. On July 24, 1534, Cartier landed and planted a wooden cross with the King's coat of arms and the motto, "Vive le Roi de France." Now, beyond Cap Gaspe, the contours of the Gaspésie lead southeast through sheltered inlets along this sparsely populated shoreline. And while the peninsula, like Quebec, is largely French, a few English enclaves still thrive here. A legacy of the late 18th century, when the Gaspe was a haven for British loyalists during the Revolution. One of those settlements is Douglastown. Along with its English moniker, the town continues to be a hub for the Irish culture in the region, an influence that is embodied in the literature, songs, and scenery here. Musician Mary Lise Trudel came to Douglastown to explore this unique musical tradition.
I've been playing fiddle for 20 years now. I'm from Montreal suburb region, and I learned classic music, and then I get interested in traditional music. And when you go into traditional, you understand after a little time that traditional, it's from the east coast of Canada.
A teacher in the public school system, Trudel was surprised by the Irish influence alive in the community.
So when I moved here, I didn't know about all this Irish history. And what is so amazing to understand is that those people that still live here, their roots are from the first immigrant that arrived here in Gaspe. All the streets in Douglastown are Irish names, so yeah, you feel still alive.
For Trudel, there was a strong connection between the music of Douglastown and the entire eastern coast.
For me, it's like a big family, and it's very interesting when you go into this tradition. You can just go and so much door to open and go and try to get like your repertoire more rich. This song named Gaspe Real.
Continuing southeast, the mountains of Forillon National Park are left behind, and the landscape changes yet again. Now, traveling along the Gulf of St. Lawrence, the steep cliff faces lining the horizon gradually recede to reveal a rocky shoreline leading to one of Canada's top seaside destinations. In the distance, the Percé, or pierced rock. Like a ship under sail, it stands proud, just meters from the town of Percé's coastline. The rock has been an icon here since 1604, when it and the town were given the name Percé, or pierced, by Samuel de Champlain. A reference to the rock's 30-meter diameter hole, created over time by the powerful tides and waves here. Percé has been a fishing hub on this coast for centuries. Today, just over 3,000 people call Percé home. Over time, fishing here has been replaced by tourism, and the town is one of Eastern Canada's top destinations. Set along a rough landscape, the town sits just in front of the 340-meter Mont Saint-Anne. And its coastline marks the gateway to the Baie de Chaleur to the south. But it is the rock here that has drawn visitors for centuries. A limestone island peninsula, 450 meters long, 90 meters wide, and 85 meters high. It is one of the largest natural arches in the world. Records suggest the Percé rock may at one time have had as many as 4 arches, the others worn away by erosion over time. The remaining arch is expected to collapse 400 years from now. In fact, the Percé rock loses 300 tons of mass per year, leaving the rock with a lifespan of about 16,000 more years. Next, continuing southwest, the incredible Baie de Chaleur and the entrance to the New Brunswick coast. But first, Percé's other attraction, an incredible island bird sanctuary here on the southern Gaspe coastline. From the lowlands of the St. Lawrence River to the awe-inspiring cliff faces of Cap Gaspé, the Gaspe Peninsula is a natural wonder, extending east from the continental landmass of North America. Here, in the town of Percé, it is not only the world-famous rock that draws visitors to these coasts. Île Bonaventure is the region's famous island bird sanctuary. It is home to the world's largest habitat of northern gannet. With more than 120,000 birds. Sitting 3.5 kilometers offshore, Île Bonaventure, along with Percé Rock, join forces to form one of Quebec's top national parks, covering nearly 6 square kilometers of coastal waters. The last human residents of Île Bonaventure left in the 1970s, near the end of the cod fishing era. Remnants of those structures can still be found. Traveling to the southwest, the Cap d'Espoir Lighthouse marks our exit from the Percé region. Built in 1939, this 14-meter tower is still in use, guiding mariners along these powerful waters. Next, the village of Grande Rivière. With just over 3,000 people, the village is the regional hub here. And it marks the geographic entrance to the warm waters of the Baie de Chaleur. Heading cross-country, the water systems of the western Gaspe interior collect here in the larger Restigouche River. This 200-kilometer waterway marks the boundary between Quebec and the province of New Brunswick, ending at one of the region's most scenic areas, the 25-kilometer-long estuary of the Baie de Chaleur. Named by explorer Jacques Cartier, the name curiously translates to Bay of Warmth or Bay of Torrid Weather. From the earliest explorers to today's coastal adventurers, the Gaspe Peninsula remains an enigma. Surrounded by the St. Lawrence River, the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and the Baie de Chaleur, it is a rich and varied landscape with an incredible cultural past, here on the edge of Canada.